Hello and welcome to Forex London Session Livestream. So first of all we will look at what we were anticipating yesterday and how prices moved in both gold and in GBP JPY, and then we will move on to do our analysis for today. Alright, in yesterday this down move in gold was a CPI move, and I was basically anticipating shorts below 1723 area to potentially hit 1700 area. We got rejected almost 30-40 pips uh, above from our support area, and then we continued moving up. If we look objectively at this pattern, once prices were around here, I was anticipating a bias based on pattern 3. Buys based on pattern 3. How? How I was anticipating buys based on pattern 3? Let me show you an example right here. Yeah, this was example of pattern 3. I was expecting same thing right here. I do believe that this pattern is similar to the pattern that we have seen yesterday. We moved down, we created, but our entry will be once this bullish candle close like this. We could have entered anywhere from here, and our stops will be around 43 pips. The stops on this trade was very big, that's why I just avoided this trade, and I just went off with my day because I knew that I can make a very dumb mistake. So I just go offline from live stream and continue with my day. But in the meantime, I will be looking at this thing because I have seen this thing happen enough times. Once this candle closed like this, on next candle I could have executed by placing stops around 50 pips, and then I could have secured this move. I need to look at this pattern in more details later on, but in the meantime, because our stop loss was very big, that's why I just avoided this buy trade and this buy trade. If we look at GBP JPY, in GJ I was anticipating shorts below 163, buys above 163 500, but those trade ideas doesn't play out, I would say, as I was anticipating. And for now there we waited basically a lot. We just consolidated in 50 pips move, but we were unable to execute on anything. I opened a trade for short to potentially keep pushing down till 162.400 area, but that trade doesn't work out, so I just closed my trade. So we will do analysis for today in gold and in GJ, and then we can do something about it. The monthly candle keep pushing down and we have broken below support level at 1756. We recently got rejected from 1707 area and still 16 days left in current monthly candle to close, so we will see how current monthly candle will close. But at this point there is no information in monthly candle. Wait and let's look at news if we have any news for today. PPI, we have core PPI news, but this event is low volatile event, so we may not get an entry. So we this event is a very low volatile event as per my experience. So it is of no use to wait for this news and we'll see how things will play out. In the weekly, we have created resistance at 1875 and we have support at 1711 and nothing. We will draw our supports and resistances in smaller time frame. We have resistance in daily at 1744 and we have created a fresh support at 1724. We also have a rejection at 1707. These are the three things we can look and find by looking at daily time frame. If we look on H4 time frame, we need to readjust our zones a little bit and yes, we are just waiting. If we look at H1 and readjust our zone, this zone, we have zone at 1742. If we break above 1742, we have another zone at 1747, and if we break above 1747 we can potentially keep pushing up till 1765 and if we break below 1724 we can potentially keep pushing down in this 200 pips of range, but the only problem is that the ranges the only problem is that the ranges in gold are very big and basically this is the phase of market. This is super trending phase of that market where I usually misses a lot of trade because I don't know how to trade this phase of market cycle. So we are just careful. We may not get a trade in gold today because ranges are very big. We have 200 pips of range right over here and we have 200 pips of range right over here. But yes, we need to be very careful and still I believe that we are in bearish trend and we can potentially break below 1723 to potentially hit 1700 area, but we need to be very careful. If I look at in gold in M30, we are creating a resistance at 1733. Even these prices have fallen from this resistance around 100 pips. This is very risky and very tricky to trade at this point in gold. It is in our best interest to stay away from gold unless we find some excellent entry. And all right, this thing is H for resistance and this thing is H for support. So the whole idea behind this is we have done a fake out above the resistance, and if we do a fake out below the support, and we can potentially execute a buy position to fill this area based on pattern 3. This is pattern 3. We have done a fake out right over here, and we can potentially execute a buy position if we do a fake out below 1722 area, but that is just an anticipation and anything at any time can happen. So we will just wait. Alright, the monthly candle in GBP JPY is rejecting from 160.300 area, and there is a probability this monthly candle can create a higher wick and continue pushing up, but we need to look at smaller time frame. In smaller time frame, weekly candle, previous weekly candle closed with a rejection from 160.400 area. It closed a slightly bullish candle, and the current weekly candle created a lower wick first of around 200 pips, and it is now flipping bullish. So there is a probability for prices to keep pushing up at least till 165.300, almost 120 pips away from current prices, but we need to look at smaller time frame. If we look at daily, we have created a support in daily at 162.700 area, and we have resistance in daily at 164.300 area. If we look at H4, We have resistance at 164.300. We have support at 161.900. I guess the same support and resistance from previous day. Even if we break above 164.200, we have resistance at 165, around 80-90 pips. So this trade is pretty much tradable, but we need to look at smaller time frame. We are in a 250 pips of range. Yeah, I have executed two trades in GJ, both were losses. We executed buys around here. This trade was very slow and prices are now 200 pips up from this entry, but this entry is just got stopped out. We executed a short around here, doesn't work out, and we closed the trade, but this is the way things are. I am okay with my trades, and if we look at in H1, if we break above 164.300 area, we can potentially keep pushing up till 165.200 area, right around here. The clean move is present above 164.300 area, but we are just waiting. Even if we are to push up, I highly believe that we first will create a we will first, if we are to move up, there is no way I believe that we can keep pushing up from this area. We need retracement. We may test this area before potentially keep pushing up, but this area is also 80 pips away from where prices are currently. So we are just waiting, and if we there is nothing at this point. The whole problem is that this range is around 100 pips, and how can I execute even if we break above 164.300 area? It will be too tricky at current point to trade in gold or in GBP JPY because we have big ranges. Buys at this point are very risky, and in the meantime we will just look at markets, how market is moving. and we will try to create some patterns that we can follow in this phase of market where prices just keeps moving up with little to no retracement. Or if we look at in gold, right over here where ranges become too big and we have moves like this, and although there was a buy trade in gold, this was a buy trade as per my pattern 3, and it moved around 300 400 pips, but it was very difficult for me to capture this trade because my stops were around 50 pips at this point. So I am looking at this area. This thing I have seen a couple of times and it plays out perfectly. If we look back at gold here, here it has formed if all right, we will move to YouTube and we will go, no, we will go right over here. This this was created on 8th of July on 9th July live stream London session. Yeah, on this live stream I wanted to see these zones. Yeah, you see we have this zone right over here. Yes. For this trade to be valid, basically we do a first of all we form pattern 3. Pattern 3 got formed. This was our pattern 3. Although this was a fake move up on NFP, but still we have pattern 3 right over here, right over here. But this I can't execute on this trade because my stops will be way too huge. But later on these things present, it usually presents after pattern 3, similar to yesterday. If I look at yesterday, we have this zone, we have another zone at this area. So this is what I was anticipating. So this is the extension of pattern 3. You see we done a fake out above H4 support, above H4 resistance, we done a fake out below H4 support at 1723. If we look back in H4, I believe we can find some other rejection or support. Let's look at these two areas. All right, we have 723, we have rejection at 1717. Okay, and if we look back on this area, we have a support at 1707 also, 1706 also, but we need, yeah, I will say we have a support at 1711. This thing matches with a lot of things. So basically we yesterday we done a fake out. All right, if we look at this H4, we have a support at 1728. We first time rejected from this area, we second time rejected, we then break out, we tested, we successfully respected this support, we successfully respected this support, we broke up above and break below. So this is a valid support. So if I look at H4, we done a fake out above 1728 area yesterday, we done a fake out below 1711 area, and so this was basically pattern 3. Later on when the pattern 3 is formed, we have this thing. I have seen this thing 2 times in a row, and after that usually we moved around 140 pips. And if I look at this trade, these were our zones. We basically created a pattern 3 up till this point. This is pattern 3. Why? Because let me explain. We have a rejection above a resistance level at this point, and we have rejection at resistance level. This is H4 resistance at 1733. Now we need a fake out below this support level at 1733. The news candle just faked below, way below the 1733 area, closed back in. So this was our fake out. One fake out, second fake out, and then this move presented itself. I want basically screenshot of these two trades, these two patterns, and I will be looking at these patterns in detail later on. And in here, yes, no, in here, no, wait a second. I was basically and all right. In yesterday, this down move in gold was a CPI move, and yes, I want this screenshot of this area. We have a support at 1711 also, and I wanted to look at this area in detail. We have this zone right over here, and it usually forms near the zone. I will be looking at this thing in detail later on, because I believe that this thing usually appears after pattern 3, and we may be able to execute on it later on, but at this point we need to be very careful on charts. These are the two things I will be looking at later on. For now, there is nothing in gold, in GJ, nothing in GJ. It is very tricky at this point to trade GJ because we have big ranges today. We will be looking to see how can we trade big ranges. I basically don't like this move up in GJ because look at here. Candle 1 closed, H1 candle closed with no wick at the top, second H1 candle closed here, third here, fourth here, and fifth is around about here. Almost I will say in this 30 pips of range, 5 H5 H1 candle have closed, so it is a big deal because prices are moving up with little to no volume, and I have seen that whenever it happens we usually retrace back to potentially keep pushing up, or we may even reverse for the entire day. It also happens. So all we need to do is to wait. We are just waiting. We have basically created a small zone in M30. We need to be very careful of that. And yes, for now we are just waiting in gold. 1, 2, 3. In gold we are also very careful, and we are just waiting for candles to show us something that we like, and we may trade based on those patterns. But today it is very tricky to trade because we have big ranges, and we will be waiting. I still do believe that we can potentially create do a fake out below 1723 area and potentially form a pattern 3 to continue pushing up, because if I look at H4 we are moving down from previous 4 H4 candles. We are moving down from previous 14 hours. So maybe we can see some sort of retracement and we may trade that retracement, but at this point there is nothing and we do need to wait for something to be presented to us. And in GBP JPY, this whole move up with small body candles with rejection at wicks at the tops, I am basically looking for retracement to potentially keep pushing up. Other than that, I will just stay away from GBP JPY. However, excellent buys in GBP JPY will be above 164 300. Shorts in GBP JPY are risky. Bullish higher time frame trend. So M15 candle has closed. It has closed with no wick at the top. भाई पंखा चला दो, लाइट बजा दो. M15 candle has closed with no wick at the top, and we are just waiting, and there is a probability we will get retracement, and I am waiting for that retracement. I will execute buys above 164.300 if we get some sort of retracement. London session is opening in 15 minutes, so we are just waiting. In gold, basically we basically wicked below 1723 area on M15 candle, and the previous M15 candle closed a slightly bullish candle. The M30 candle is still open, so we will see if we will respect this previous M15 candle or not, and we will be waiting. We are waiting at this point because there are lot of problems. Alright, we are just waiting for candles to close in 13 more minutes. 8 minutes, and then maybe we can find a clear direction of markets. We are basically in one of the hardest markets in the world. Forex market is one of the hardest market in the world to trade. So we need to be very careful, and we want everything to be aligned, our physical, mental, and consciousness to conscious to matter, to align in same direction to probably win in this game for a very long time. But we are just doing ourselves, we are doing very better, and we are putting ourselves in the best position to win. So we are just All right, in gold we are breaking below 1723 area in the last 2 minutes, and yeah, it was pretty much expected. So we will see how can we capture a move if it retest 1723 area to potentially keep pushing down, and we will just see if we can do that. Other than that, we are just happy with no trades for today. This thing, man, this thing, let me show you. In M15, GJ on 12th of July uh, dropped like this, break below the zone and continue pushing down till 162 area. I remember this trade, and if we look at gold now it can potentially keep pushing till 1711 area. There is a volume in gold, and London session is now officially opened. I wanted to see if this thing is comparable, and this thing in even in GJ was around 80 pips. So in gold there is a very high probability at this point we will touch 1711 area. But the whole problem is that we are able to capture this weight. We were This trade was probably based on our pattern 1 because we have missed an important zone right over here. If we look at this zone, we have done a fake out above this zone, closed back in, and this trade can be taken in M30 time frame. But this is the way things are. I will just delete it and I will not confuse myself with the variation, because for the next 2 months I just want to execute on my patterns, and I will not basically trade variations of my pattern until I am consistent with trading my patterns, and then maybe I can decide if I can trade my pattern or trade variations in patterns. GBP/JPY has officially broken above 164.300 area, and if we look at H4, previous three H4 candles were super duper bullish. We have broken above the high in first 2 minutes. It may concern me, but I am just waiting, and I am just waiting at this point. In gold, Gold is dropping. There is nothing that we can do at this point. Alright, gold is dropping and there is very high probability we will test 1712 area in gold. And in GBP this was the thing I was anticipating. Yesterday it happened on right on this candle. It dropped 40 pips on the same candle. But I will not execute this trade unless it closes a bearish candle. But it is a good thing we may be able to find some good trades later on. The same exact thing happened yesterday when the candle started to break above the highs in first 1 minute, and then it break below the low of previous 15-minute candle and then continued pushing down. One candle I was anticipating volume to be in the market. I executed later on, but it was of no use because volume just died on the entry candle I just take on my entry candle. So I just close my position in loss and go with my day. Yeah, man, this was an excellent trade, but I didn't take that trade because I still am unable to differentiate between breakouts and fake outs. If we look at this candle, the previous M15 candle closed around here. I was pretty much sure we can keep pushing down till 1711 or probably 1706 area, but the whole problem was my stop was very big if even if I execute on this trade, and even this candle has no upper wick. So that was my whole reason to stay away from this trade. And if I look at, let's look at news. Is there any news? Inflation have basically reached 40 years high in USA, and all right, GJ candle has now flipped bullish, and basically we have volume in GJ at this point, and we can potentially keep pushing up, but I am not interested in these buys unless I find something of interest. just waiting, and we may be able to find some trades later on, but at this point it is way too risky to execute on anything. DJ candle, waiting for candles to close. Candles are about to close in 1 minute, and if we look at gold, we don't have an upper wick on current H1 candle. So the whole question is, will we keep dropping till 1711, or will we first create an upper wick and then continue moving down? Overall, we are highly bearish in gold. Anything in buys will just ruin us. So I was basically anticipating buys in GJ, but these buys were wasn't as per my idea, as per my trading patterns, so I just avoided it. We can now potentially keep pushing up in this 70 pips of range, but I guess nothing for me at this point. Oh yeah, we are basically now creating an upper wick. If pattern 3 appears, I will execute on based on pattern 3, but we need to wait. I have very high hopes that I will be able to capture some pretty good trade in GJ and in gold. At this point, there is nothing. We are just closing like a dodgy candle. And now, even if first of all, we are not looking for buys, even if we look for buys, the current 50-minute candles don't have a lower wick. So there are some chances we can create an upper wick and continue pushing down. But at this point, we are just waiting. We are waiting for when I came to charts earlier in the day, I anticipated that today it will be difficult for us to capture trades because there are big ranges in market. So yeah, we are just waiting. So there are basically news that economies are not performing well, whether it's Eurozone or it's US dollar, the currencies are not performing well, and there are chances that we can possibly enter into recession. A lot of analysts and experts are stating the things that we may enter into recession soon. So yeah, we are just waiting. Even can potentially keep pushing up, but we didn't got any chance to enter and execute on this trade because this thing wasn't as per our trading pattern, and we are just waiting. Candles are closing in 4 more minutes, and in gold there is nothing. So it do make sense for us to just wait. Whole idea is that whenever we do a breakout without doing a fake out to the upper side, I usually miss those fake breakouts. I only am able to capture one type of breakouts so far, but I believe that in coming days I will be able to capture more breakouts. The volume appeared on these three candles, uh, but it is not a usual thing that I have seen because market was super trending. We are in London session. We moved down in 4M30 candles. We did a small retest and then we moved another 100 pips down. It is not usual in my opinion, and if I look back in gold, in M30 we have closed a strong bearish candle. we are just basically waiting. GBP JPY can continue pushing till 161.200, 165.200. Yesterday, our anticipation that GJ can keep pushing down from 162.800 to 162 area around 80 pips. That was successful. Today it seemed like this prediction will also be successful, but the whole problem is that we were unable to execute these buys. At this point, there is nothing, and we do need to wait. say the probability of trade working out may not be in our favor, and we are totally okay with that. Yeah, this was also pattern 3, it didn't work out, and yeah, anything can happen. The only thing that I can have done better with this trade is to wait for candle to create a lower wick first and then execute a trade. But as this setup was a risky setup, I already lowered my lot size because I knew it will be hard for me to manage my risk on this trade. And I am just waiting for candle to close in 5 more minutes. It seems like volume is dying in gold as it happened to us with us yesterday. We are just waiting. I am waiting for 4 more minutes and then I will exit something from trade. did a predicted move, but the whole problem is why I didn't execute it in GBP JPY and instead why I executed in gold. It is happening to me a lot of time that I executed in one trade and the other trade in which I don't have any entry usually gives a pretty good move. I don't know how the market is aware of where I am trading today. So yeah, losing something at this point. This is a big loss, I will say, around 7 US dollar. Yeah, around 9 US dollar of loss. Yeah, we got stopped out and it is the way things are. Actually, this is the right way to execute on this trade. Wait for a lower wick to form and then place a buy stop above the wick. And yeah, but this is the way things are. I executed based on pattern 3. That didn't work out. We are now in massive. Uh, we are sort of break even for the month today. Yeah, 7. So I will say 0.7% of the account at this point. Losses, yeah, we have basically hit big losses. Our winning trades are basically not present in. I still believe that there is very high probability for prices to keep pushing up, although we got stopped out. Let's see if this thing will work out based on pattern 3. GBP JPY is doing wonders in here around 80-90 pips of move. at if there is any way we could have avoided this fade. out, but previously this was our entry, this was our stop, and if we executed in here, we could have secured around 120 pips easily. But this is the way things are, and I have also noticed that whenever we have one candle dropping like this, then the idea of pattern 3 working out increases a lot. Whenever we are dropping like these candles, these two candles are the basically the probability of trade working out decreases in this case. So it can still work out, but I am anticipating that if we consolidate in here and then break down, and again we can find some pattern 3, and I will execute based on that pattern 3. And in the meantime, this area, I wanted to study this area. This is zone, consolidation before zone started breaking above zone, usually formed after pattern 3 and near previous daily high. So I need to study that pattern also. And for now, in my opinion, we are just forming a consolidation. We will potentially drop down further, and later on we may be able to capture a trade based on pattern 3. But at this point, there is nothing. We executed on a trade, we got stopped out. If I look at current week performance, I am losing on a losing streak from previous 4 days. Just one break-even day and two losing days. This was break-even days, and it was losing day, and it was losing day. And today is Thursday, didn't trade it on Monday. Basically, I am still losing a lot, like I have lost around 1% of account in 4 trading days. So it is a good thing that I didn't blew up my whole count in on just 4 trades. But we will see our progress in next few months. But at this point, we are just waiting. I have noticed that whenever trade gives me a chance, an extended period of chance to enter in a trade, then I have noticed that I usually got stopped out on that trade. So maybe I need to keep that factor in mind also. They risked around 25 US dollar initially, lost around 8 US dollar, and yeah, that's it. I basically lost on this trade. Pattern one that I am confident on trading on doesn't appear this week, and I have taken 4 trades. Let's look at my past trade, and all of those, this was taken on pattern 2, this was taken on pattern 3, both of them doesn't work out, and Monday I didn't take any trade. In GJ I took a trade based on variation of pattern 1. This was not a pattern 1. Lost a trade, and this actually was a pattern 1, but the volume was way too low that I have to close this trade in little bit of loss. But the perfect, if even if one perfect pattern 1 appears this week, I am sure I will be able to put like 2 to 3% of that. It will help me gain 2 to 3% of my account, but that is not appearing, and we will only see what we are watching. This was actually my first trade based on pattern 3 on real account. So it is okay to use. I actually should have managed my risk better. As long as this 10-15 candle has closed like this, I should have closed something in minus 4-5 pips. Place my stops below this candle, because if I anticipating price to keep pushing up, there is no point of. Actually, I can do a little bit better in the risk management of this trade, but that didn't happen. So in future I will be aware of that, and if we consolidate in here, later on we move down, then there is a probability that we can get pattern 3 again below this area. This is also an H4 area, 1706. We can potentially keep pushing 100 more pips down. We are okay with everything and anything that market may provide us. Right, weekend is coming in 2 days. I will basically create example of pattern 1, 2, 3, 4. I will try to add more content around those patterns, and I will look to see, I will try to gain more experience trading those patterns. And yeah, we are basically down for the week. We are almost around 1% down, 1.2% down on current week. Okay, I knew that I will be able to get out of this break, this losing streak, so it's not a big deal. I have learned my lesson on this trade. I have learned a very valuable lesson, and this was sell trade taken in GBP yesterday, and I also have learned my lesson on this trade. And this was GBP buys. It was pretty early buys. Let's look at those buys. GBP buys, basically there was a problem with those buys. Let me tell you what was the problem. Alright, if we look in here, we have this zone. I was anticipating prices to keep pushing up and break the zone, and my execution was little bit late. If I executed this trade perfectly, then there was very high probability I could have secured 28 pips, 10-12 US dollar on the trade. But basically there was two problem on the trade. Number one, my execution was wrong, and number two, I didn't manage my trades right. So those were two problems. Basically I am learning my lesson from my losses. And this gold sell, I forget about this sell. Let's look at that. Alright, this sell was taken based on pattern 2. It I closed this early because there were a lot of reasons to close this trade early, and I have explained why. And yeah, I am totally fine with my results so far, although we are around 1.2% down on our account. And The whole idea is that our trades, our big win trades are not appearing. We have waited for almost 15 days for our big win trades to appear, but those trades are just not appearing. We have break even trades. These are two break even trades I will call, or small win. These two were break even trades. This it was a big loss trade, not a pretty big loss, but little bit bigger than break even trade. And the big wins and the winners of this system are still missing. I hope those trades will appear and we will capture those trades, and we will create a note of our journey, that how we are performing and what we are missing and how we are gaining experience. So at this point it makes sense to just head off. I will see you guys in New York session.